Greetings, my dears. Welcome to this video. Today we're doing something a little bit different. As you can probably see from the runtime, you might want to grab a cup of tea or a meal, or even start some chores or work and let this play as you do that. The reason is because this video is a series of what I'm calling public video diaries of me working with the Death Doula Oracle for 7 days. If you don't know what the Death Doula Oracle is, get you the Death Doula Oracle. I definitely recommend looking it up. It's an oracle deck by Theodore Saint and Chris Williams, if I'm not mistaken. I will put the information in the description box below, but I highly recommend you watch any walkthroughs or reviews and stuff. It's an amazing deck. You're going to see me looking at notes right here, so I hope that's not too distracting. So what I did with the Death Doula Oracle, which I'm just holding very affectionately because I love this deck and this just practice solidified my love for it. But I pulled a card each day. I reflected on it in that moment. I read the guidebook. I tried doing what the guidebook said on my own. And then I came back the next day, reflected again before pulling the next card. And it was unexpectedly, but should have been expectedly, an experience of emotional depth, vulnerability that honestly got a little bit uncomfortable at times, and divine information that I felt was reaching my heart. A little bit more background before we get into it. I don't want to say too much, but I do want to set the scene so you can enter the space in which the practice was held. Most of it is me sitting here in this space, and I started the series on May 1st. It was a full moon, which I knew, but what I didn't know was it was a full moon in Scorpio. And it was also May Day in Beltane. And the full moon was a flower moon. Very me. And it was a powerful day to begin a practice with such a wonderful, powerful deck. You know what? Let me just show you a couple of images. If you haven't seen it, or if you just, you just want to see it, you know what I mean? Let me just show you a few. This is what we're working with here with the Death Doula. I just want you to be able to see kind of what kind of energy we're talking about here. If it's something that maybe you also haven't seen in a while. I don't want this intro to be so long, but I think it's super crucial for us to just kind of like orient ourselves before we get into this energy. And I'll just show a couple more. I hope these are coming through clearly. And one more after this. Call it a day. Okay, so that's just an example of some of the cards from the deck. The guidebook is really, really nice. Very little on the cards themselves, and then a lot more on practices, rituals, and things that you can do, and then conversation around, the big death. And, it was also done in collaboration with some death workers, doulas, people who work in end-of-life care as well. So, I found that finding out that it was a full moon in Scorpio was kind of amazing after the fact, and it really felt. And I honestly, in the moment, kind of forgot that it was Beltane. Like, it just really skipped my mind completely because I was so focused on. Mind you, I have this here that I'm just kind of holding with the deck. It felt like a vibe, But yeah, I found that it just made me realize that we don't always know what's going on in the celestial realms, but they still do somehow impact us. And as usual, I'm always amazed at how, and grateful about how my intuitive practices create like spontaneous synergies with the moment, the season, the era that I'm in, whether it be like on a mundane level or on a supernatural level. Energies just somehow intertwine like right in the perfect time, Kairos, But yeah, in the video, you'll see my energy rise and fall depending on the day. You'll see my expression take on different forms depending on, I'm interacting with the cards in real time, and what's going on with me. But I'll leave it at that. I want you to kind of witness it and experience it for yourself. If you're really into just like chatty videos and just like genuine processing in real time, you're really hopefully gonna really enjoy this experience. And I felt like it went over 8 days because I took a final day to reflect, and I felt like during that capsule experience, I felt a benevolent energy opening my heart, and I feel as though I received a satisfying clarity around my soul purpose. And yeah, that is quite an amazing thing to say about an oracle deck in 8 days, right? Or 7 days of working with it. But if at any point something resonates or spawns an idea, I would love to hear about it in the comments. I think this deck is one that creates ripples of truth and healing. So I would be super happy if we could have like conversations about it in the comments. And yeah, and also pay attention to anything that I may put on the screen. There were just some things that I kind of added in further detail here and there, but mostly things that I was talking about that I wanted to kind of show you on screen. But yeah, that's it. And let me know if you have any questions. Without further ado, here is my death doula video diaries. So day 1 of death doula. I'm very excited. I wanted to do this first thing in the morning, but I was not able. It didn't work out that way. It's May 1st. Today is a full moon in what? I don't know. Because I don't usually keep up with astrology in that sense, just more so following the lunar cycle. But yeah, it's a full moon. I was going to start yesterday, but I figured starting today would be even better for the full moon. But I want to make this pretty short because I want to include all 7 days. So yeah, I'm just excited to do this and see kind of what happens. Yeah, my intention is just for illumination and maybe even like inspiration and empowerment on my own journey. This death doula concept, in a more spiritual sense, in a metaphorical, metaphysical way, has been like a name and title and process that I feel like I've resonated with for a few years, before I even knew about this deck, or maybe even before it came out. I don't know. But yeah, so it's definitely a very special deck to me. I don't use it as often as I would like to, simply because it's just like, it's an energy, of course, that you have to really sit with. But like it always, of course, hits right in the feels and just meets where I'm at and brings the truth. So this recommendation for here, I'll probably show it on the screen if I can. So technically it's a 7-day spread where you pull cards once for the whole week, but I decided to just go about it one day at a time. So this is day 1, and so I just want to pull a card to want to pull a card. It's our first day for a 7-day practice. Like I said, my intention is for illumination, inspiration, clarity, and empowerment. So which one do we want to start with today? I would say maybe clarity. I feel clarity is one that I need. So what clarity can you provide on about my path today? All right, we'll be pulling a card now. I haven't even seen it. Connect with the dead. Okay. I love that because I've actually been working on developing my own ancestral practice, obviously pulling from various things, whether they be decks or books or just things that I've read and interacted with in my own personal ideas around death, or just ideas, experiences as well. So yeah, that's something that I would like to do. this picture is just really interesting. I don't really know what to make of it, and a lot of times I don't. I think I tend to want to pull out another deck to get some clarity on these cards, or maybe not clarity, that's not the right word, to expand on the message so that I can have a little bit more scope and detail to it. But one of the things that I get, like, coming from the color and just the rugged nature of it, that almost looks like a snake or a feline pattern. That's interesting. And yeah, I don't know that I can make anything of the image other than the fact that, like, it's something to create. Actually, let's read in the guidebook really quick, and then we'll kind of just end it there. It's something I'll reflect on and maybe give more thoughts tomorrow, or just leave it where it is. Connect with the Dead says, look toward the dead, your ancestors or someone you've admired, and see how they have struggled. Your ancestors / personal idols have manifested you, parenthesis, and you have manifested them into your mutual storylines. You now have the opportunity to overcome what they could not. Use that knowing as the fuel you need to take action in whatever area of your life is comparable to where your ancestors or personal idols have struggled. There's definitely been a lot of, like, money blocks. Sorry, I'm pouring tea. Which the tea video practice is coming this year for sure. Hopefully by this summer or fall. Maybe even spring before it's over. But I don't want to promise that. What was I saying? Yes, there's definitely been a lot of money blocks, which I feel like, you know, just with coming from poverty in another country and then immigrating and then having to, like, build up, and me only being, like, the next generation of the people who came here, is just like, you know, there's nothing, not nothing, there's not a lineage of establishment here. That's something that I'm working on for myself. But also I think about, like, a personal, and, you know, someone else, you know, my childhood friend that I think about all of the time, because she was a creative. She was amazing. I grew up thinking, like, she's so much better than me, and, you know, feeling kind of jealous of her, and seeing how my mom was, like, so, always so proud of her and all of her creative accomplishments and talents, and she passed away by suicide. And I always think about her as, well, I always think about sort of, like, my life and my achievements as trying to fulfill what she couldn't. And that's part of, honestly, even some of the intention behind the channel. So yeah, I'm gonna do some connecting with them tonight, hopefully. I will, yeah. So I'm gonna do all of that. I'm gonna work on my ancestral work tonight by this full moon. And yeah, I think maybe a new moon is probably a better time to start this practice, but I think this is the time I had, so this is the time I chose. So thank you for watching. I guess I don't really know what else to say, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I look even less put together than yesterday, but it's late in the day, and I had a feeling I was going to get to this until late in the day for day 2 of Death Doula, especially because yesterday's task was quite a kind of hefty one. Connect with the dead, okay, that's a big task, thanks for that. I was able to make progress. I spent the evening working on, well, not the entire evening, but I worked on a bunch of other things, and I'm pretty sure my oven is gonna ring. But I was able to compile, like, a bunch of Things that I had been compiling already, I was able to print them out. I'm not going to share them because it's personal, but I did want to show the proof that I did do the work. But just compiled, like, because I had recently listed out like decks that I think that for me are like ancestral decks, books that I've either read, currently reading, or want to read, some ritual practices that I feel would connect me with my ancestors, and even elders as well that I have in my life. I forget what else, but like spreads, things that I've come up with that I want to do or communicate with my ancestors about. Like I said, spreads and readings that I have found online. Yeah, just a bunch of stuff that I'd come up with. Some of it, like I said, with the stuff that I've kind of my own thoughts and ideas, or things that some of them I've done, some of them I haven't. So yeah, I just wanted to put them all together so that I could like have a starting point with this ancestral practice in a way that's like more structured and like trackable for myself, like so I can see like what I have done, what I haven't done, like have one place where I can bring all my ideas together. Like I have obviously an editable digital location, and then I also have this printout that I can also mark up. That makes it a little hard to keep track, but and obviously I'm not going to be sharing like writing things in here as things happen. But yeah, I just wanted to have like something cohesive, and I got my printer up and running this past week finally after so long. So yeah, I wanted to do that. So yeah, and also I was able to do some particular work around using tarot to communicate with my childhood friend that I mentioned yesterday. If you're here, you're probably someone that believes in that kind of thing. If not, I totally respect that, and I just ask that you respectfully don't try to advise me on it. You know, I won't probably say that kind of what I got out of this very long reading was definitive. It's just more so what I experienced through, you know, connecting with her. And it's the first time I've ever journaled, like written to her. I only have spoken to her aloud. And so this was really illuminating for me because, you know, there's just something about writing down your thoughts and feelings that really illuminates how you truly feel. And, you know, I was able to get a little bit into like my feelings about the whole situation and how I guess like guilt and forgiveness and just stuff, you know. And honestly, surprisingly, so the decks that I work with for the most part were the Seasons of the Witch Litha, because her birthday is in June, and I've had this deck out in preparation for that, and I've kind of dabbled with it, and I just felt like it was the right deck as kind of an anchor point around. I also used the Lonely Dreamer. Mine is edged in blue. And then I used a little bit of a couple of other decks, like the Iris Oracle, a couple of cards from the Dream of Nile, first edition. And actually I saw someone recently using the Rose Season Tarot's like guidebook, which is by the same author as creator as the Telesma, Tara Cochran. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. To like use as just like a general guidebook for any reading that they're doing, and it actually works really, really well. I really like that. It's just like a list. Like for example, you just have like a list of, you know, bullet points of things that it could be, and I really like that. I just want to show you like what the Litha and the Lonely Dreamer look like together. I find it to be extremely beautiful. Like I'm not even going to look at what comes up because I don't have the time, to be honest with you. This is already a lot longer than what I wanted it to be. I hope that lighting is not too bad, but yeah, it's really, really beautiful together. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it spoke very, very clearly. You know, I've always talked about like I know a deck is good when I have like a clairaudient experience, and this was definitely one of those scenarios where I could just, the message was so clear, I could hear it. And even with the Dream of Nile. It's pretty nice as well. I hope these are coming across. My apologies if not. I'm just trying to make a sort of casual, just real life video. Are these also reversed? Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're both very, very beautiful. And for me, that felt very much like her. There goes my oven again. I also used the Forest Fae for a couple of cards. The Queer, I don't know if it's called the Queer Tarot. It's like an RWS clone that's like super colorful pink and purple. And my own deck, the Eye of Blossom. But mostly it was those 3 decks, but particularly most of the time it was the Litha and the Lonely Dreamer. I'm sorry for all of the cuts and interruptions, but this is just very real lifey. I guess the one thing that I'll share about what that reading and communication, I hesitate to call it a reading, right? It was just questions and points that came up from my journaling that I wanted to pull cards on and see if I could hear from her. What surprised me was kind of what I talked about yesterday with kind of this feeling that I have around her and I having like such similar interests and ways of being, how that felt as a kid and how it feels now, and how, you know, it serves as a motivator for me ever onward. You know, I commit to continuance and, you know, succeeding in things. But what I found super interesting in the reading, I think the first thing that I got was like, I guess I had mentioned like I hope that she's happy, and you know what I received was not necessarily that happiness is the quotient, but it's like true peace, you know, and serenity, and like, and that, you know, at other points in the reading it was like, not, emotion is not like what I feel that it is on the other side, you could say. It's like, that's not how it works. And it seems like what a focus is on the other side is to like, not for her to be my motivator, but for me to recognize like what I already have, and that's the goal, that's the intention. I don't know, I'm trying to describe it as vaguely as possible without giving specific, because I'm really not super comfortable with the specifics. I'm not even sure if I'm comfortable having this conversation. I'm kind of on the verge of tears, but I just want to pull the next card for day 2, even though day 2 is almost over. Hopefully it's just something that I can like meditate on and just feel, as opposed to like a task. But yeah, let's just see. I think I said that I wanted, yesterday I said clarity. I definitely got clarity. I think today just maybe like some inspiration. Yeah, because I think I said like 4 things that I was hoping to get out of it, but we'll see. We do our, as I usually do. Oh, not where I thought I was gonna cut. All right, you guys, it's visual mantra, isn't it? I already know it, I can tell. It's visual mantra. Okay, I always struggle with that card. I'm like, a visual mantra. I always think of it's like obviously something to, you know, usually we see mantra as words to repeat. Visual mantra, I guess, is something to gaze and look at and receive from, sort of meditate on an image. But let's see what it says in the guidebook, which is, okay, this card indicates that your thoughts are getting in the way and in turn asks you to let go of the need to describe something in words. Okay. Often our thoughts and words get in the way of seeing something with clarity. To look upon the ocean and describe it with words is to limit the immeasurable, indescribable, innate beauty. Where was I? This card invites you to gaze upon the individual shapes of a room or ogle at the shape and color of a mountain. Look at whatever surrounds you with eyes and bodily feeling. Appreciate what you see, but do not use descriptive words. Practicing this will help slow racing thoughts and reveal the wisdom of being. Let your racing thoughts be felt as distant sounds in the mind grow ever quieter. There's actually a visual mantra. I really like that, by the way. I'm going to do that and just kind of look around my space and ogle the shapes, I guess. Which I do often. Like, obviously, I'm very into colors and shapes and things in my space, but I think it's something that I could do more of. And that's why I like photography. It's capturing something without words, but it's... Anyway, what does it say for visual mantra meditation in here? Okay, it's kind of long. Yeah, I'll read it. Visual mantra meditation. Find an object in or outside your home, in your mind, or on a page that you can gaze and focus on with both ease and concentration, such that you begin to have quiet, distant, and more subtle thoughts, and sometimes no thoughts. Ideally, the environment in which you place yourself is free of distracting noise. Begin with using all of your available attention to gaze upon this object, noticing its subtlest details, shape, hue, texture, etc., not using words to describe what you see, but using feelings to appreciate the object. Take a moment to yourself and focus on this object. Try to observe external thoughts coming into your mind as that, external. Allow the thoughts to wash over you. Do not give them extra energy. Let your external thoughts float past you and evaporate like clouds. With practice, you will be able to notice your thoughts, enter your mind, and be released without needing to break the attention relationship you have with your visual mantra object. The key to this practice lies in surrender. There is no wrong way of thinking or concentrating. A thought is not bad, it is simply the brain acting as it is intended. Oppositely, having no thought is not bad either. But to have no thought while staying hyper-focused is one of the many achievements made during a deep meditation. It has it starred here. Do not tell others what your visual mantra object is. You can either return to the same object multiple times or go find a new one, as you please. I really like that. I'm going to do that tonight, and I guess I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow on day 3. Thanks for being here. This is already a very transformational experience, and I'm really glad I decided to do this. I hope I post this video. Welcome to day 3 with the Death Doula Oracle. I don't know why I keep saying Death Doula. But just elongate the word, I guess. I don't know, for funsies. But yesterday's card was visual mantra. I did do the visual mantra meditation, and yeah, it was super interesting because it was kind of difficult to do. I only so far have done it inside of my space. I haven't done it with something, outside. And yeah, I'm definitely going to keep doing it because I think it's a very interesting practice. I don't think it's something that we all haven't done before. You kind of just like, something catches your eye and you just end up like gazing upon it, and it just has an impression on you, right? I think that happens all the time in nature, or even just like, I don't know, sitting in a waiting room. Like, I don't know, I think but doing it intentionally in a way where you kind of try to forego words and, thoughts even, and just feel, is something very easy to do in nature, not as easy to do with just like physical objects. But yeah, I found it really interesting. It's a card that, like, I don't think I've gotten a lot, but it just sort of stands out in the deck to me. Something about it is just a little different. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it comes up in readings now when I might do like a spread with it or something. But yeah, let us move into day three's actual card. So I'm gonna shuffle and see. I've been so far. Oh, I actually have been continuing to add to the whole like ancestral thing. I haven't printed out versions of it, but I forgot to put in what I have been working on separately in my journal with like literary ancestors, because I've just wanted to connect with that aspect of like my practice and work with and read from and learn stories and connect with and commune with like writers, literary ancestors. So I have worked with the Literary Witches Oracle, which is an oracle that I've in the past said that I was probably going to get rid of. So I found that use for it, thankfully. I guess what I realize is all I have to do is talk about how I'm struggling with the deck, and then like some in a video, and somehow I'll figure it out. And as soon as I'm finished recording the video, within a week or two, all will be solved and we will now be besties and we'll figure it out. So that's going to be my new practice of making it work with a deck. Is I was going to say, like, I'm saying it provocatively in my head. I'm like, yeah, just talk shit about a deck on the video and then you guys will get on after that. I don't know. It's like how conflict makes, getting through conflict is good. But anyways, let's get into today's card. I think today, I don't know, I always have very mixed feeling days because that's just how days be. But right now I'm feeling pretty good. I have a meeting with a friend coming up very soon. And so I'm feeling a little bit more electrified right now. So maybe something empowering, but who knows? I don't have any, I feel like I should come into these with questions, but I'm really just, the spread doesn't say anything about a question that I can remember. And so for me, it's just like, because it's, what does this say? Each of the 7 cards represents a day of the week. The first card the reader pulls represents the present day. Second represents tomorrow, and so on to complete the 7-day week ahead. So it's like a week ahead reading. But like, for me, it's just like a daily meditation, daily focus, daily connection with the deck kind of thing. And within myself and with death and ancestors apparently and beloved dead and things like that. So, let's just see what Death Doula has to say today on day 3. Anyway, I want to listen. I don't know, something just gave me the urge to just listen. I'm not even going to tell you what I just heard because it's so random. Oh my god. Okay. This time I'm going to look first. Ooh! Oh my gosh. Also, would that make a great thumbnail? Because that looks really good. Wayfinding. I love this card. If you have kids or if you watch Disney movies, Moana, I'm telling you, when I first saw Moana as an adult with no children, it was like finally, my oven might ring again. It was like finally connecting with myself as an island person. My family is from a group of islands. I never say the word ARCH, fill in the blank. Pelago or Pelago, whatever the fuck. I know how I say it, but I always feel like it's wrong and not enough people use the word. So I just say group of islands. Off the west coast of Africa, Cabo Verde, if you've ever heard of it. I don't know why I said it like that. That's not how I say it, but I'm trying to like say it properly and English at the same time. Anyway, it's Cabo Verde, and that's where we're from. And so when I watched Moana, I was like, I know a girl from an island, stands apart from the crowd. She loves the sea and her people. She makes a whole family proud. I sing the songs from that movie, and it built up a lot of meaning in my life for other reasons. Kids that I had in my life that were like, loved that movie. Anyways, wayfinding. She's a wayfinder. And I just remember having such a big moment with the movie when I first saw it. And what was the reason for me saying all that? So for me, that word really represents a like ancestral connection. Because even though Moana is from obviously Pacific Island, she's a Pacific Islander. I'm an Atlantic Islander, and I just felt so much resonance with her story and her connection to her people and to her lineage and to her purpose, you know, and just her story, who she is, and embracing who she is truly, like what authentically drives her, and not holding back from that because of whoever around her or whatever the status quo is. And there's also a big Christian song, I think it's like Waymaker or whatever, that was a big thing some years ago. That doesn't really do it for me, but what I love also is the fence. Growing up in an environment where that kind of fence is very, very common, it just also like, it gives me this feeling of like the grit of my upbringing and of, you know, the things that I've seen and making my way, like wayfinding through those experiences. Like for me, that's like hood fencing. I don't know. That's not true. That's not true. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know. It's just giving like, I don't know, just like hard to put in words. And so I don't have to put it in words, but I really like this card. Let's see what the guidebook says after I've talked all that. Wayfinding. This card, okay, let's see what it says. This card is associated with feelings of being trapped or blocked. This card asks the reader to get creative in order to find a way over their wall and discover their own path. Search beyond what you consider familiar and forge onward with cleverness, imagination, and grace. The path forward may not be obvious, but this card encourages the reader to visualize where they wish to be and begin to think of ways to get there. Take a moment today to envision a goal and search your mind for one step to take to begin the journey towards it. Once your first step has been taken, reassess your position and find the next step towards your wish until you arrive. Do not underestimate the power of taking one step at a time. I like that. What sticks out to me from that is this card asks the reader to get creative. Well, to find a way over their wall and discover their own path. And that it's associated with feelings of being trapped or blocked. You know, saying how it's like a mixed feeling day all the time. And one of those reasons is because there is a big block in my life right now. And I do every day think about it, but it's also like, it's like I vacillate. And I never know if it's vacillate or oscillate, but let's call it vacillate, just between like power and powerlessness. And I mean, that's so real when you have like physical, like actual, you know, physical obstacles. It's hard to like envision and feel like you can get to where you want to go when there's like a wall right in front of you. It's like, well, how can I really focus on, I'm going to try to say this as quick as possible because my battery just died. But it's like, how can I think about what's way ahead of me when I have this wall right in front of me? So I'm definitely going to think about what it talks about, which is like envisioning where you want to go and being creative about it. And what did it say? Jesus Christ. Just taking one step at a time. I definitely believe in that. And so it's like, that's my daily task, is envisioning and taking, never underestimating the one step at a time. So, yeah. And after every step, just reassess and keep stepping. Greetings and welcome to day 4 with the death doula. That was upside down, I think, the death doula. I think I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on the process so far. I don't know, like I was coming back to this wayfinding card again before I decided to, also sorry for the cutoff yesterday, that was crazy. I had no idea my battery was that low. And I was like, there's no way I'm coming back to record this after it fully charges again. I'm in the process of getting more batteries. I had 3, but two of them, my fault that they kind of, whatever. You don't need to know about my camera batteries. But I was coming back to this wayfinding card and I just found myself like the visualization that I was having, like I did what I was instructed to do, I guess, which is to figure out a step that I could take and take it. However, as I was kind of coming back into the space to kind of move forward to the next card and just kind of sitting with what this card has been, I felt like there was like an immediate image that came to my mind. And it was a pretty sad one, I'm not gonna lie. It made me realize how much this process is like affecting me, like how these cards and this like multi-day death doula experience is intense. Like I don't want to use that word, but it feels intense. Like obviously what else would you expect? But yeah, I don't know, something about it just like it reminds me of, what threshold crossing feels like when you're changing from one state to another. It's intense. It's a lot. It calls into question. It brings, like, it dredges up a lot of things. And I feel very emotional. And it's, things that you should have expected, but you don't, just because, I don't know, we're human and sometimes that's just hard to do, is to brace yourself for something. Especially because like it's a video. So I'm thinking like, oh, like obviously I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be honest. Like I'm not going to make a show of it per se, but it's like still I'm like, oh, right. This is what happens when you do real work. It works on you. And so, yeah, I've continued to work on the ancestral thing, like adding, like in my digital copy, I'm like adding more pages and like, okay, a space, which was weird because I talked about like being able to like document, I still have it right here, being able to like document things that I do, but I didn't have like a space in there to do any documentation. And so, yeah, I added that and a bunch of other things. It's just like, I'm kind of reminded of, it's really giving me the opportunity to put forth the energy to like really round out this ancestral practice that I've been wanting to like coalesce all of the things, all of the ideas, things I've done, books I've read, concepts, readings, rituals, tools, all the stuff, and I'm so happy. So that's a plus, but yeah, it's still been a lot. Wow. That's pretty good. Okay, so let's pull a card for day 4. I can't believe it's day 4. Is it day 4? I've lost track a little bit of the days. By the way, yesterday when I said I heard something in the deck, I watched it back and I was like, I could tell you it's really not that serious. I heard the words corticosteroid. Let's not discuss it. Oh my god. Today, I don't know, I think I just need some comfort. Day 4. Is it day 4? I don't believe myself. It is day 4. I don't believe myself for some reason. Okay, because I started on the 1st, it's the 4th, so, okay. big wind just came in. I love you, wind. Is this from you? Okay. The shadow. I can't say I'm happy with that. I will say, like, sorry, I'm just so sniffly. Allergies and just constant verge of tears with this practice. It's so interesting. It allows for a lot of release, let's say. It's cool, guys. Isn't it so cool? Like, I feel like it's so cool. The deck, it's so funny. I was gonna say this before, like, and it actually ties into the shadow card. It's so funny how a deck will be completely different depending on what reading you're using it for. What reading you're using it for. Obviously, what other decks you have surrounding it, and like obviously the context changes the meaning and the energy as well. Like this deck is such a good example of that because I feel like I have been like doing shadow work since getting the Barbara Walker Tarot. I don't find it to be like crazy. Like I feel like a lot of people talk about how it's like so serious and doesn't pull punches and things like that. Whereas I feel like it's not that it's not direct and confronting, but I just find it to be very clarifying. Like it's just so it just feels like clear quartz to me. It's like so it's confronting in the sense that like you see it and you can't unsee it, and it just shows it to you. It just shows it to you. It makes it so plain. And I feel like this deck, when I work with it with the Barbara Walker, which I haven't done in a few weeks now, but I find that it adds to that like clarifying. Oh, it's like a fresh air, like the wind. Like I was just saying, like it's so, yeah, it's like that feeling. I'm sure you get what I'm saying, but. So that's how I find it works with this. Whereas I'm doing this daily practice, I feel like it's a lot more potent, intense. And what I was going to say too with this feeling of like, whoa, this is a lot. This practice is a lot. I'm a very slow person. If it was up to me, I might do like one card every other day or one card a week. But I think sometimes like people like let me speak for myself. Sometimes like even as slow as I like to be, and sometimes like how easily overwhelmed I can be with things like this or with anything really. It's good even for me to get experiences like this where it's like with what I might describe as being bombarded, is the wind is doing so much for me right now. I'm just watching it on this tree, right? And it's just like I've been actually, oh my God, it's still going. I've actually started working on like aromancy, and the wind is like my biggest, divining with the wind is huge. And so I'm like, wow, thank you for showing up here today and just calling my attention. So I am feeling supported and comforted by that. I'm not gonna lie. But what the fuck was I saying? But I think, it's good even for me to sometimes get like intensity and what I might generally construe as overwhelm can sometimes be good because it lends to that potency. It's like slow drip is healing, but it's not as potent as sort of that shock to the system. And everybody needs both at times. So I was gonna say with the Barbara Walker, I feel like it really introduced me to the concept of shadow work. I've done a lot of like healing work over the years, just my personal practice, obviously going to school for counseling and expressive arts therapy and stuff like that. But like the idea of like shadow work, not that I ever looked up a meaning, but like obviously you hear people talk about it, and my interpretation of it, and what people talk about is like, bringing those like out of not out of consciousness completely, but like those things that like we either put away or things that we're not fully aware of, or parts of ourselves that we're not happy with, proud of, you know, those kinds of things. This is not a good explanation per se that you should take. I'm just kind of babbling. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Barbara Walker introduced me to it in a way where it's like, it's not just kind of the way that I thought about it, and maybe the way that I was going about it is this idea of like just illumination for illumination's sake. Like journaling or just thinking, reflecting, or talking about it in therapy. Like the Barbara Walker introduced me to, I think it's because of the orientation that I've had this year with my word of the year unintentionally. Like I don't even do my own word of the year practice anymore, but words still come up. Sovereign being one of them. I think that came together perfectly because that's kind of part of the reason why I got the deck, is this idea of like shadow work is that knowing, like becoming aware, bringing things into your consciousness that weren't previously, for whatever reason, and doing something with it. It's like it calls you to behave differently, to think differently, to act differently, to change things in your real life. And for me, that's what shadow work has been. But anyways, the shadow card, let's see what the guidebook says. I love to chitty chat. I'm so glad you're here. This is so fun. Let me know what you've been thinking so far. Has this inspired you to do this? Yeah, what have you gotten out of it so far, if anything? Okay, the shadow. It says, this card asks the reader, let me just put this up here. This card asks the reader, what about you do you not see? The traits that you push down and hide or deem unacceptable, greed, rage, selfishness, envy, striving for power or control, feelings of inferiority, annoyance in others, etc., these are your shadow traits. It is much easier to see another person's shadow than it is to see your own. That is why, if you notice being able to see another's shadow traits, i.e. traits that bother you, take note how this makes you feel. Becoming aware of another person's shadow traits can be easy and clear way to indicate which shadow traits are within you. Bringing a soft light to the layers of your shadow self will reveal your inner gold. So there is a See a Shadow Work journaling page on 49 and a See Processing Rage page on 74. I'm not going to go to those in this moment. Maybe the shadow work journaling, but like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not really into those kinds of journaling, as I just said. But what was I going to say? I do want to say that actually recently I found that, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was kind of, gossiping and just kind of whatever. And afterward, I really thought about it and I was like, the reason why those things bother me in other people is because I'm sort of maybe insecure about those things being true about myself, or seeing them in myself and like judging them. But like, it's so easy to judge them in other people because then I don't have to accept the fact that like, those kinds of things are within me. So I definitely had that realization quite recently, or, that reflection quite recently. So thanks for that. Definitely brings it up again as something to explore further and to actually really sit with what those things are and what that means for me. So like, traits that I push down. So it asks you, what about you do you not see? I think that's a weird question because it's like, it doesn't really provide a mechanism for then seeing it, but maybe just the question itself does. I don't know. So it says, bringing a soft light to the layers of your shadow self will reveal your inner gold. What is inner gold? It's like capitalized. Like, I don't believe there's an inner gold card. From going through this deck multiple times, there is no inner gold card. So I'm like, hello, is there a page in here that talks about inner gold? What's my inner gold? Makes me want to pull a card in another deck, but I don't want to do that because this is the shadow card, not the inner gold card. So I guess there's a little bit of shadow in me. Like, I like to look at my good parts. But yeah, I think I can be, I'll be specific. I think I can be a little bit like judgmental and self-righteous. I was actually talking to that same friend yesterday about how I've been actually trying to work on that this year, and just being more open to just seeing people as whole people instead of sometimes allowing certain negative or even positive experience to sort of make me believe that a person is a certain way. It's like kind of like using particularly emotion laden experiences to sort of categorize a person. It's a very natural thing to do, but it also can distort perception of the world and of people. So I've been working on just being more like open to seeing people with all of their sides and try to refrain from that type of like judgment based on, like I said, whatever emotion laden experience I've had with that person. Examine those emotions, figure out, I don't know what to figure out, I can't think of it right now, but like examine them, examine the emotions, examine what's going on within me, because usually those feelings are about me, and our limited interaction, not necessarily, like, it doesn't say everything about me, it doesn't say everything about them, so. And this process of like not overemphasizing any particular experience or situation as a marker of who a person is obviously helps me out a lot. Like, recognizing that while that practice ends up making me feel like a good person, however, it's not actually good for me. And so I'm not a good person. I'm a person. I try to do more good than not good, and obviously good is subjective and, all those complicated things, but it's just, it helps on both ends. It helps me to have more compassion for myself and not to have certain experiences or people sort of stick to me in this like sticky, not good way, and also have these perceptions of myself sticking to me in a not good way. I wish I could have better words to say it right now, but like I said, I'm just kind of babbling off the top of my head, and if you get me, that's great. I love that. So this was a lot longer than I expected, but I felt like at this middle point I had a lot to kind of get off my chest, and I'm grateful to this practice. It's definitely doing a lot for me and coalescing different things that are very recent. It's always very timely. And so, I think that's all I want to say for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Greetings, welcome to day 5. Well, I guess you could say evening 5. I just took an evening shower. I've been having a bit of a weird day. It's been beautiful weather-wise. I had 2 like out of the house appointments. Y'all, I have so many like therapy appointments, whether it's of a physical variety or of a mental variety, but it's good. I'm getting myself tended to in 2026. It's one of my goals. But I had 2 appointments today, so I was enjoying the sunshine. Didn't choose to go for a park walk today, but yesterday I was able to take some pictures. I followed around some birds. Oh my goodness. A red-shouldered blackbird. Is that what it's called? Now I'm second guessing myself. Like literally just like flew past me, almost like it was kind of majestic. I tried to take a picture of it, but it was like absolutely at no point did they want me to take a picture of them. So I was like, you know what? I can't lie that I don't get like a little bit upset at the birds when they don't want me to photograph them. But there were some robins, and wow, I started to think they weren't robins for a second. Jeez Louise. There were some robins, and one of them was so sweet enough to get on a branch for me. I'll insert a picture so you can see. But anyways, I didn't go for a walk today. But yeah, it's so funny. Where's my card? Yesterday's card was the shadow. And yeah, I was like, after I ended yesterday, I was like, you know what? I should do the journaling because that's, it's something I should do. And then I was like, no. Like, I don't know. So I was starting to, I think with like today, with like the things that were like bothering me, like my frustrations about other people's behavior, I don't know. I started to like sort of refute this concept of like the shadow work journaling says, take note of when you project parts of yourself onto others. Spend some time writing and reflecting on when you become annoyed, jealous, frustrated, etc. with others. This often has little to do with them and more to do with your insecurities. And while in the concept of projection, yes, of course, but like the idea that like when you become annoyed, jealous, frustrated with others, particularly for me where I'm like frustrated, it says this often has little to do with them and more to do with your insecurities. And like, that's not always the case. So I kind of was starting to get mad at this because I was like, in the concept of like being frustrated with someone, I'm like, I don't know that this has to do with me, but what reflects upon me is how I then respond. Like, it's always about how I respond. And so today, even though it's yesterday, I love how every card spans the 2 days until the next one, which is cool because I'm not doing them like first thing in the morning. So it's like whenever I did it yesterday to whenever I do it the next day, it's like I carry it with me, of course. But yeah, what I'm thinking of doing in response in this regard is, I didn't actually plan my words, so give me a second to think how I want to express this. One thing, which once again I was talking to my friend about the other day, is like when I'm not getting what I'm looking for from another person, like in their communication, like what they're communicating to me, when there's a lack of like clarity and specificity, like I need to take it upon myself to orient to asking the kind of questions I need answers to, which is very obvious, but at the same time, sometimes you just kind of like miss that point in the like sort of uncertainty and like frustration feelings. Like, or like when I put something in someone else's court, but I really need to like take ownership of what I need in the situation, right? Instead of leaving it up to the other person to communicate things that they don't know that I need communicated. So yeah, there's that. And then like when those moments of frustration sort of build, to be able to communicate, what the fuck was that? Communicate them in a way that's open-minded and not centering my emotion, but centering the goal of clear communication and understanding of all parties. So yeah, I guess that's for shadow work, is like what I want to work on in regards to like frustration and annoyance and jealousy is like, for me, not always like thinking of it as a me problem. I don't know. I feel like in a way that's like a problem that I have is like always thinking it's a me problem, but more so in the sense that it's a me problem is how I determine my response. And that's something that like obviously takes practice to do healthily with these kinds of emotions, like annoyance, jealousy, and frustration. Jealousy is interesting, but I don't want to get much further into it. At the end of the day, I think this shadow card challenges me because it makes me feel like if I don't do a certain thing, I'm not doing enough to do my shadow work. And that's shadow behavior. It's a one day card. We don't need to solve all shadow issues in one day. So yes, I'm talking to me, I'm talking to you, I'm talking to us all. Okay, but let's get into card for day 5. Oh, I also wanted to change this color. I don't know if you guys have gotten used to the purple. I can't change that one. But this one I can change. Not an ad. I use govee LED light bulbs. I also have LED strip, which I haven't put up. But yeah, that's a govee LED bulb inside of a Fado IKEA lamp. It's just like FADO at IKEA. That one's a Mark Frost is IKEA. Mark Frost base with a, I don't know the name of that bulb, but it's like a, I don't even know if they sell it. I got it a couple of years ago. If I check the description. But I do want to change that color. Did I change it by accident? Or did it just adjust? Okay, let's see. What color should we do? I kind of want to do blue because I decided to wear this like really comfy. But will it like take attention away from... No. No. Do I like that? I don't know. It's like... No, that purple's too close to what it was. What if I did red? No, I hate that. I never do green. Ugh. It just doesn't look as good unless it's part of like one of the scenes that they have. I think I have to go with the blue, even though like, yeah, I'm vibing with it. All right, we're gonna go blue. Ooh, I kind of like the blue. I'm vibing with it. Okay. J5 Death Doula. Y'all, I'm being so real with you in this video. I don't know if this is going to be like a part 1 and part 2 or if I'm going to put it all together, but if it's part 2, like this video, go back and like part 1. If it's the whole video, like it right now. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, please. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna take 2 more deep breaths. Okay. I gotta do 1 more actually. Okay, yeah, that was a good one. I knew I had to do the deep exhale. Okay. Hello. Oh, no, it has to be that one. It has to be that one. It has to be that one. Hello. Sometimes when there's like one that just kind of, I still have to cut it though. I'm gonna cut it right there. Okay, it's gotta be that one. I love this card. It matches my color scheme. Ritual. Ritual is my favorite thing. I actually am like, I don't know if I should say this. I have this dream. It's not a far-fetched dream. I just say it because it's something that I hold close to my heart. As something that still needs manifestation in the world, right? Why is there a second card calling out to me? I find that, you know, what I seek in my spiritual studies and inquiries, what I actually end up practicing, really always centers around like sacred space. And I just love to create sacred space. One of the titles I have for myself is a space carver. I feel like I carve space really well. Hence why not only I went into therapy as study, but also I think something I got through my studies as well. But I have this idea of working with folks around ritual craft, like collaborating on creating ritual for liminal spaces and for just like identity shifts, those rites of passage. Yeah. And also like commemorative ritual and ceremony. Like yeah, that's something that means a lot to me. And I just really love this image. I love that it's blue. Oh, this deck, it's so good to me. I feel like this process has been very good to me because it's not just giving me what I want at every moment, but it's also not ignoring my wishes. Like, it's very much present with me. And I really appreciate that. So let's see what ritual says. Okay. The act of repetition is ritualistic in its nature. Rituals create thought and emotional patterns within us. The patterns that we create are inherently magical and have rippling, radiating, magnifying. The patterns that we create are inherently magical and have rippling, radiating, magnetizing effects on how life presents itself to us and how we interface with life in return. Without personal, intentional rituals, we can become subject to the rituals imposed upon us. Ritual is a way to begin to know and find what you seek. May it be cultivating more inner peace, physical health, professional opportunity, etc. Taking the time to perform an intentional ritual will give you the space to influence your life in the direction you desire. This card acts as a reminder to develop and maintain the rituals and routines that benefit you the most in order to improve your quality of life, and also asks you to take note of the rituals in your life that are not serving you. There are 2 additional things. There's the create your own ritual, page 27, and establishing an altar, page 28. Altars is another thing I love to make. I loved to make an altar. One thing that I've been wanting to do is to make a self altar, which I haven't done, because it's kind of like it's going to be a project, and so I've kind of been not putting it off, but like kind of waiting to the right moment to really like dive into that, because it's definitely going to be like a multi-day, obviously multi-day. It's going to take maybe a week or 2. Could take up to 2 weeks, I think, to really take time to allow it to come alive, from the idea and sort of vision that I have in my head into what it wants to be as it gets created. I'm like really excited about that. I also haven't determined where it wants to be. I was going to say where I want it to be. Well, I was thinking where I want it to be. What started to come out of my mouth was where it wants to be, and that's more accurate, I think. I haven't figured out where it wants to be. I wonder if there's maybe a shift that needs to happen in my space in order for it to find its rightful place. But I also did make an altar recently, through like a multi-day workshop that I did, and I really enjoyed that. It's kind of very sacred though, so I pack it away when I may have guests. So I find that to be interesting. It's not something that I've done before, but I like the idea of that privacy and secrecy around just the sacredness of the altar, right? But anyways, create your own ritual. I'm curious what it says. I'll just kind of give a little bit of I'm assuming it's going to be long, so I'm not going to read it, but I just want to see and give a sense of what it says. Create your own ritual and establishing an altar. Okay, so they're right next to each other, 27 and 28. I didn't realize that one. I said the page numbers. I didn't realize. Yeah, 27 and 28. It's so funny. I do want to say this because I think it's super important. In the Healing Wisdom of Africa, he says that ritual is not like routines. Routines are not rituals. Rituals are separate space that are, and don't quote me on this is exactly what he says, but the delineation is what he does say. So it's not verbatim, but that's the point that he's making, is that ritual is separate, carved out space for transformation. And I tend to agree with that. I understand like the sort of common way of saying like, oh, my daily ritual kind of thing. And I still use the word in that way. Like I'm not against that, but I do believe that ritual is something else. It's not routine. It's not habit. It's separate from that. It's sacred space and time. It's time outside of time. And that doesn't take away from the sacredness of our routines, as it says. I don't know what it says, but that doesn't take away from the sacredness of what you do daily. What it says, the act of repetition is ritualistic in nature. That is true. Because then it sort of takes on a life of its own. So in that sense, that's why I feel comfortable continuing to use that phrase in my own personal interpretation. But yeah, something to think about. I don't know what to do with these like establishing altar and stuff because it's a lot. I will read the create your own ritual. I'm not going to read the establishing an altar because I think the create your own ritual is short enough and it's nice enough to kind of give like a sense in case it might be helpful for you. And I think it's something to think about. If I do end up doing it, I want to share it. This card asks the reader to create a new ritual of their own. If this is your first time creating/performing a ritual, the key is to keep it simple and meaningful to you. Consider candle color, crystal choice, specific body movements, time of day, night, etc. Is your ritual most effective when performed under a full moon or a new moon? See Harnessing the Moon, page 29. Incorporate an appropriate plant or herb, symbol, statue, or picture that means something to you. If your ritual involves altering emotions, use water. For altering thoughts, use air or incense. If you wish to alter passions, use fire. If you wish to ground yourself, use earth. A ritual can range from a minuscule action like stirring your coffee 3 times while closing your eyes, taking time to relax, or spending 6 months living in a cave attempting to contact your holy guardian angel. However you choose to approach this deck invites you to take time today to think about and or create a personal ritual that would benefit you. I think this is something I can do on a very small level, potentially. But I also think it's a call to work on that idea and project of ritual craft. In general and for myself. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. That was so long. These are getting longer and longer, but I'm enjoying it and I hope you're enjoying it too. So I hope that has been a nice moment for you, ritual. If there's a message in there, that's awesome. And yeah, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are, and I'll see you tomorrow. Greetings. Welcome to day 6. Oh my gosh. This is the second to last day. I honestly can't believe it. I feel weird about it. I really actually don't even know what to say, to be honest. I'm feeling a little bit like cozy and quiet tonight. Those shouldn't be in my ears. I've had a good day. Yeah, I've had a good day. It's been like a day I've never had before. And it always takes me time to process days like that where it's like, oh, what happened today and what I did today is something that I've never done before and has never happened to me before. And okay. In a sense, it reminds me of yesterday's card, kind of how come on, focus properly. How I talked about how ritual is something outside of your routines. It's, I may put a quote on the screen of exactly what he said, and I might have even put it yesterday, but if not, I'll put it now. I wasn't sure if I wanted to like do all that, you know. But yeah, it reminds me of just that feeling of like ritual being a sort of set aside sacred space for transformation is the way that I put it yesterday. But yeah, I feel like I've had that kind of day where it's been different. Definitely set aside. It's not something I would have said was sacred space per se, but in a way there was a space carved that was new. So yeah, I just find that super cool. I have been having, in different arenas, I would say, of my life, new experiences. And actually, even more so, experiences that are, you know, the spiral. It's me at a different point of my life having a very similar experience, but experiencing it very differently. Okay, I'm not going to keep saying experience. Let's move on. I didn't create an altar and I didn't necessarily create a ritual. But what I do think I got out of that card in general was one, just like the comfort of the serendipitous pull, but also just the ability to kind of talk about that dream I have and, you know, ritual craft being something that's like an offering. Because, you know, I talked a little bit about it, but just like studying expressive arts therapy, it's like I find that like when you're coming up with a, a treatment plan or an intervention, as they call it, which I fucking hate that term, but it's very much, you know, when you're looking to create or to choose what creative medium and what materials you're going to use and why for the particular situation for that client, right? It is very much ritual craft. Like we're creating a sacred creative space and container to process whatever it may be. And we take to heart how we move through it from the beginning to end and maintaining that safety throughout. And yeah, I think that's something that's super important when making space for others and utilizing creativity as healing, and the elements and, you know, all of the things, objects. One thing that we always talked about when I was in school was this idea of self as instrument. And, you know, I didn't think about it in relation to this card, but and it's been a while since I've really meditated on that concept. I've always loved it because it's a way of, you know, we always talked about how it's you in the encounter, you know, like you are the therapist. There's no one else. So ultimately, like you are the person that's in the encounter and, you know, you are part of the healing process. And so that is part of the creative act, is what you bring to it as well for the people that you're working with. And while I didn't decide to go down the path of therapy traditionally, I still take a lot from that experience. Like I said, from what led me to seek it out in the first place, who I always was, and also the practical tools and the transformative understanding that I was able to receive through the time that I spent in grad school for that. But anyways, I don't know why I just went on a whole tangent, but I hope that makes sense and gives some more context to kind of what I was talking about yesterday. But let's pull a card for day 5 or evening 5. I don't have as much time today because I also have a workshop coming up super late because it's happening on another part of the world. And I'm hoping that, I feel like the opportunities that I've been seeking out are super, super helpful. But I'm still like in the wayfinding card, taking things one step at a time and trying to work on the kind of wall that I was talking about that's right in front of me. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm seeking in a card today. Just, I feel very much just like a seeker in general. So, okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh my god. What? Stop. His visual mantra again. I honestly did not even give thought to the possibility of getting the same card twice. Like, I didn't even think that was a possibility. So we've already gone through this. So I guess thank you, deck, for minimizing my time, because, you know, I will definitely rant. But, you know, as I wanted to continue with that practice of the visual mantra, and I definitely will use that opportunity to continue that over the next 24 hours. So I look forward to that. And I think there's something to be said about the fact that that card has come up twice for me personally, because I am very, you know, I want to engage in those kinds of practices. And those are things that are very, I've been using this term for a while, me coded. I think it's something that I do without even, you know, obviously without the name, you know, meditation on what's around me, observation, noticing, 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 noticing is like the key to my life. You know, it's how I function without even trying, but it's also such an intentional, like it's been bridged into this like way of being and philosophy, in a sense of like, that's what brings you to slowing down, you know, in this fast-paced life where we're constantly being forced to be inhuman. Noticing is an antidote. And like, I honestly don't even know how to move on from that, because yeah, noticing is an antidote. It's a cure. Oh my god, that's so emotional for me. Yeah, it's a cure for this, like the way we're being, I was going to say this illness that's being given to us, like the way that we're being poisoned with inattention, you know, pulling us in a million directions, asking us to do more than a person can do in a day. Every single day, day after day, the toxic individualism of our culture and many cultures in the world. And, you know, there's such greatness in individuality. And, you know, there's so much benefit in individualism. However, and it's not individualism, you know, ultimately it's a piece of the pie, you know. It's corruption, it's greed, it's evil. Like I really, ever since leaving Christianity, I have such hesitation around that word because it's wrapped up in all these other things. But yeah, I didn't want this to become a soapbox moment, but noticing, and it's something I believe in very heavily. There's a book that I've been wanting to read for so long. I'll put on the screen a picture of it. I don't know why I can't think of the name right now. I can see the cover, and I can almost see the name of the writer, because I looked at the book so many times. I don't know why I never purchased it. I'm gonna go look it up now and see if maybe that's a good idea for me. But yeah, and I think there's two books by this writer that have always called to me. One of them is actually about ritual. I think it's called The Disappearance of Ritual. And the other one, it's definitely about like noticing and slowing down. But yeah, I feel like I want to take this moment to like encourage you to notice, and to have a visual mantra object, whether inside of your space or outside, preferably. That's my goal for tomorrow, or I should say for the next 24 hours, because the clock starts now. There's no today or tomorrow. But then again, there is, because we bridge the day with the night and the day. Or we bridge the 24 hours with darkness and light. Anyway, yeah, encouraging you to do the same, to find something to sit with, and not to have words about it, but just to feel it. And so that's what I'm going to do. And not to tell anyone what it is. Don't tell me. Just tell me if you did it. But yeah, that's our card and chat for today. I love how it's taken on a different context and conversation, I'm excited for where we go from here, and I'm freaked out that this is almost over. I want to do this more. Tell me if you have any ideas of something I can do like this, because I'm super, God, I'm enjoying it so much. But yeah, that's all I have for today. I will see you tomorrow on our last day. Greetings, welcome to day 7, last day. I'm so like weird. I thought I was gonna be filming today for the last time, but I forgot like I still need to debrief again tomorrow. Just because that's how I've been doing it. This is the latest I've ever filmed a video. Today was, it was like a fine day, but it was like a day I decided to do nothing. And whereas like there were other things I didn't have to do, so I decided I was just going to do nothing, which sometimes is not the best choice. And I think I was also kind of avoiding this because I don't want this last day to happen. I don't want this process to end. But all things must come to an end. So yeah, I was just, I don't know, I just was putting the deck back in the box because usually I put it back in the box already, and then I felt weird that I was like taking it out of the box while it was still open, because like I'll just kind of put the cover in the cover. Anyway, irrelevant information truly. But yeah, I feel like I did take part in more visual mantra work, which exciting, yay. I'm very happy that I was able to continue doing that. And it's definitely going to be something I do more. I looked into the books. I still have to look a little bit more into it to see if I want to purchase either one of them. I think I would have to just choose one, but then again, like my TBR list is so long, so backed up, and I don't know that this is like a super priority. I don't want like ADHD brain most interesting novelty moment to take over. I definitely think it's something that I wouldn't, like I would be fine having in my library, but like is now the time to put it in the library? I don't know, maybe. But I think I would, it's funny because I came across this author from the Disappearance of Rituals. I'm feeling really cozy. I just want to cozy up with my blanket. But I came across them through The Disappearance of Rituals, but The Scent of Time is the one that really focuses on lingering, which is kind of what I was talking about with the noticing yesterday. I really went on a soapbox yesterday. But I'm happy about it. I think I definitely learned something about it. Like just through discussing it, I learned about myself and, you know, kind of, I guess, part of what I really think. But yeah, I was really thinking today, actually, you know, an idea that I had that I was like, maybe I can find a way to make a video about this. I was just really thinking about, like, I heard someone, I was watching this video and I heard someone say something about how there was, you know, they wanted to, I don't want to be too specific because I feel like it's definitely in the tarot tube space and I don't want it to be like weird, but pretty much like, oh, they wanted to, there was like some creative thing that they wanted to like be when they grow up, or some kind of dream or goal that they had in a creative area, like space. And, you know, they were like, well, capitalism, and they kind of laughed. And I was just like, God, how desensitized are we to people losing their dreams which are part of who they are, and in my opinion, part of their purpose of being on earth, if you believe in that. But I was just like, how desensitized are we to people just losing themselves in this system, you know? I know there's just like, there's only so much, it feels like you can do before, like, you have to kind of just accept some of it to survive. Like, that's what we're doing. We're surviving. We're not living, you know? I mean, not everybody, you know, some of us maybe have found, you know, ways to live, and I'm sure we all have in some ways, but I don't know. My point is not to really get on like another thing, but what I really wanted to express was just how heartbreaking it was for me and how that's something that breaks my heart every single day. Is just thinking about all of the lost dreams. And I feel like part of me and my purpose is to like encourage people to find their dreams again and go after them, because it's something that it tears me up. Like it really does. Like as a creative person, like my goal is for every person to not be like, well, I'm not creative. You know, that's something we hear a lot. And those creative people that miss out on their dreams because of the systems that are in place that require them to sell those dreams for survival. Oh my God. It just is so scary to me. Like I don't know what words to use in this moment. I'm just being raw. I'm sure if I had really, written this out, I could be more articulate about it, but it's just devastating. But I don't want to dwell on that too long. It's a lot of emotion. I think yesterday I just had a lot to integrate because I also had that workshop, which was amazing. I was on the verge of tears. I cried, not like intensely, but like I was on the verge of tears like half of the time, and I probably shed a few tears as well. I was like really, really, really tired. But it was also just so, so, so impactful in ways that like I didn't even expect. It was called actually I have the workbook right here that I had printed out. Thank God I fixed my printer recently because I've been living the life of my dreams. I love to print. I love paper. Do you guys love paper? I still print sparingly though. I don't waste. But like I'm just an analog person, But this is what it's called. It was amazing. I highly recommend. So I follow someone named Simone. I'll put both of their information in the description. So I've been following Simone for a few years now, and she introduced me to Joey. And I only recently came across Joey's like program called Sovereign Storyteller. There's like an email series that you can sign up for, and then there's like a further like multiple month like program that Joey has as well. Don't know Joey's pronouns off the top of my head. But yeah, so through those emails, I then got, information about this workshop, and it was so, like those moments where like you hear from a teacher or, facilitator, writer, speaker, artist, whoever it is, and you're just like, oh my God, you get me? Like, there's been a few people like that, but like as of late, like I've been really needing that type of alignment and resonance, like to feel that in my body to feel connected to something, because I think on some level I have been feeling quite disconnected from the collective that is, I guess like-minded, like-spirited. And it was just so wonderful to connect in that space because there were so many like-spirited people, the words that people were sharing, the way that Dr. Joey was speaking, it was so good. So I'm a little like tired just from my body is integrating a lot. My mind is moving through so many concepts, and my heart is feeling so many things. And no doubt it's also because of what's been building from this deck as well, and just what it's been bringing up in me, and the ways that it's also providing opportunities for integration and emotion and a lot of things. So yeah, visual mantra is not really about visual mantra, but this has really just become an opportunity for me to kind of like take this present moment and allow the death doula to sort of this space to hold all the other things that are surrounding this practice. And I've really enjoyed that. And yeah, just thinking of you on the other end, being here and listening is yeah, it's always very special to me. So I think let us move on to our final card of the week. I think I just want like a kind of hug, a sweet farewell. Maybe an explosive farewell. Maybe something that will just like linger forever. That would be something. I trust that it's going to meet me where I'm at as usual. And trust is something that I started to really process last night, where I'm not trusting my inner knowing. Which is one of those things that like you think you've done the work on, like because I've had such big breakthroughs from like the journeys that I've taken, you know, into and out of and through religion and untangling, breaking walls and barriers of thinking and feeling and accepting, that I thought, not that I thought I reached the end, but I guess when you do have such breakthroughs, you think like, whoa, that's gonna be with me for the rest of my, like you do kind of think like you've made it in that regard. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I listen to my intuition now. Like I trust my intuition now. Whereas when I was in religion, like my intuition was bad. Like it was my flesh, you know, it was demonized literally. And so that was so huge. And now I'm at this point where I'm like, oh, the reason I guess this wall is the lack of, like in the wayfinding, is my lack of trust in my knowing. It's like I don't know enough, or I don't know how to, I don't want to get into the weeds, but trusting my knowing was a big moment in the workshop. There was so much more, so much more. But that was one of them that I kind of didn't realize was an issue. Anyways, oh my god, I've talked way too much. Let us pick this card. Well, it slid like this as I was shuffling, so here we go. Interesting. I don't know what to do with this. It makes me think that, oh, let me just hold the card. I don't need the deck anymore. It makes me think that like that like line through the middle. I mean, you could look at it as like line of like truth and not truth, but I also like, it just makes me think of like a staff and the idea of like, you know, the staff is like, it's your power. And when I also did a short program a couple weeks ago on power and power blocks, which was really illuminating as well. But I feel like in the ways that I haven't trusted my knowing, it's like a way that I can't be honest with the world. I can't be honest with myself. It's living a lie, and it also in a sense brings me to like those lost dreams. It's like we are living in a lie. This isn't, you know, and it's something that's why I'm like spirited people, because I feel so extremely strong about it. I mean, there are people more radical than me that make decisions that I'm still scared to make. But I find that of a lot of the people that I'm around or that I come across, I still end up being more extreme in this sense of like, this is a lie. We live in a lie. The dissonance is so far that we can't even feel it anymore. I'm drinking soda. I can't believe I'm drinking soda. Anyway, like, look at that. But I don't want to keep going on this, guys. If you're enjoying this, let me know. But I feel like while it's super important for me to share these thoughts and feelings, I also I don't want to make this a moment where I like rant. I don't know. But maybe I'm being dishonest by trying to close myself off from saying what I really think. So, geez. Let's just see what it says so we can at least integrate the message from the actual card with what I'm personally feeling. Dishonesty. This card implies dishonesty not from another but from yourself. How have you been deceiving yourself? What are the stories you've been telling yourself? What narratives have you been adhering to? What have you been ignoring that needs attention? What comforts do you hide behind? So yeah. I've mentioned this a few times, but I've been knee deep in the last like 6 to 8 months around restorying, questioning the narratives. Like I said, like that, similarly to what I just said, I don't even feel or notice anymore. And that's part of been like the shadow work that I just like happened into. You know, I always think I am doing some level of shadow work. I also fucking hate the term. I'm like so sick of it. Because I feel like when I say it, it's like, do we all know what we're saying? But anyways, it doesn't matter. I kind of explained it the other day. I don't want to get into it. I'm ranty tonight. But that's the work that I've been doing, consciously and unconsciously. I think it's just a timing thing for my own life, and it's something that I've embraced on a conscious level, is that this is where I'm at and this is what I need to do. Like I need to reconsider ideas I have about myself. Because, you know, honestly, I had a reason. Last year was just so fucking, it had some great highs, but so many lows. And one of the worst lows, with everything that I talk about in my life that I've fucking gone through, last year was one. I had one of the biggest, like one of the worst weeks of my life. And after that, the couple of months that ensued after, I just knew I had to, I was forced into it. Forced into, I don't know. Let me phrase it based on what it says in the book, because I'm having trouble finding words. How have you been deceived? No, not that. Just what are the stories you've been telling yourself? Because that's just what I needed to do. I'm like, what about myself, about this situation, about my life, have I thought was true up until this point and is not? And what have I thought was untrue, but it is? Or what have I ignored? Like it says, what have you been ignoring that needs attention? And it was like, I had this like break moment where, you know, something I thought that would never happen happened. And then I had to reconsider everything, because it was like, oh, well, if that happens, then I'm now living a completely different life. And now a completely different life requires a bargaining with whatever I thought about my life before. And does it still apply now? So this card definitely represents, yeah, the, I guess, threshold that I've been walking through. And I find the stones to be very apt. I like the mix of what for me feels like fire and earth. You know, the stones and the staff to me. There's no continuing ritual or nothing else to look at in the card, but yeah, so I find those to be quite relevant because, you know, earth, I think of the mineral element in the Dagara cosmology that I talked about from the Healing Wisdom of Africa from Burkina Faso. And the mineral element is about identity, remembering, knowing, communication, like who we are, and, you know, the bones. And what did I think the other day? Oh yes, last night, it was during the workshop, I was thinking to myself, because I was just really sitting with how much the land is one of the primary resources and responsibilities that I have. It's my vitality. It's why I wake up every day. Like if I was gonna say if I didn't have the land, but I'm like, what would I have if I didn't have land? But literally, like, if I didn't feel the earth and experience the earth supporting me, and its presence and its everything, the ecosystem, the earth. If I didn't have the land, I wouldn't be alive. Like, from when I was a teenager to now, it's been like, yeah. So, why did I say that? Oh yes, it was. This is the land of my flesh. And the land of my bones is my ancestral lands that I've never been to. But yeah, that was just something I thought of. I was like, wow, I never really thought of it that way, but it's so true. It's like this is the land I know. This is the land I grew up on, and I have a responsibility to it. And I also, without ever being there, I also know the land of my bones. And I have a responsibility to that land too. In a way that I embrace, in a way that's very real, but it's not one that feels like it's imposing. It's one that feels right. But yeah, whew, so many things. If you have any thoughts, let me know. But I will be back tomorrow to share any final thoughts and close out this time with you all. I don't want to. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Oh, it's already recording. Greetings, dears. Welcome to Final Thoughts. Just a little bit of reflection. Final thoughts about yesterday's rant, and just feelings in general. I know I look a little extra wild today. At least I feel that way. My hair is crazy. But I was honestly thinking about, like, why have I felt so different the last 48 hours? Like, it's like weird. And then I'm like, oh, today's the first day of my cycle. And I'm like, right. As someone with PCOS, I forgot what it's like to have a consistent cycle. Wow. Funny how that works. So yeah, every time I feel weird for a few days and then it happens, I'm like, right. Yes. That is a real occurrence for the body, mind, and soul. And it is. But anyway, I'm grateful to this practice just in the ways that it's allowed me to express myself. It's been a while since I've done any kind of video where it's just me and my thoughts. And, it's definitely one of my favorite videos to make, because it fosters dialogue to some degree. But yeah, I'm excited to make different videos moving forward. I think this has definitely been very inspirational for me. A lot of ideas have come out of it. But also I'm just grateful for kind of starting off this whole practice with connecting with the dead. That was something, helping me clarify my ancestral practice and my, connecting with the dead. It's just super great. It just gave me that outlet to be able to do that, as it was already something I was doing, but it just kind of like was able to speed it up, tighten it up. I still have more things that I'm planning on, like, adding and tweaking. But yeah, that was super great. And back to, again, the whole, like, sharing myself, just kind of like sharing thoughts off the top of my head, and musing, that's something that I do a lot up here. And I do a lot like this and like this. And And I definitely still do a lot like this too, but this is just a different format. It was cool. It was nice. I liked it. I'm feeling like I just want to disappear into my sweater. But anyway, I was thinking about the kind of the words that I said yesterday, I think in the day before. One thing that I noticed was like the visual mantra days, really what ended up happening was like when you really do, and it's the art of noticing or lingering or slowing down, those kinds of things, it gives you more time to really like, it's meditation. It gives your body and mind more space to sit with feelings and concepts and observations. And so I think it makes a lot of sense that, following those, getting those cards, I was saying a lot of just like things that were coming to me, like when I'm outdoors and I'm with my visual mantra object, and I just, so many things impress upon me that I don't even realize, because the whole goal is I'm trying to feel with that thing. And then what ends up happening is, I'm trying not to think words. I'm trying to, which was really hard. Harder when you're trying to like meditate on something as opposed to, well, I don't know, whatever. It was difficult, but yeah, I ended up coming out of those experiences just with a lot to say, a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts. And I definitely want to continue those conversations in different ways. The idea of like lost dreams has really been sitting with me. I think about just all of the work that I think each of us who feel this responsibility to like heal the earth and have liberation for all and do all of the very, very important work of restoration and world building, like building. It made me think of like the Lemuria deck where it's our ancient future. And that's what I feel like I definitely strive for in my heart and soul, is the, decolonization, the indigenizing, just bringing us back to something in the future, and it's very emotional for me. And I'm really grateful that I think Death Doula it makes so much sense that this was the conduit to expressing these things. It gave opportunity to imagine, to express, to connect. And yeah, I'm just really grateful. I've never done something like this. So look at that, I love, doing new things like this. And it makes me think, I'm like, okay, like what other deck am I going to do it with? I've had the idea, and the idea to do this came out of actually a different video idea, which I haven't even done yet, which was to like actually try spreads in guidebooks. Like I don't always do that. And I'm like, you know what, let me actually start doing that. And I had an idea of like a Seasons of the Witch deck, because I know they have like 7 or 8 spreads in every new deck, and I'm like, I should actually try those. I think I've only ever tried them from, what? I can't remember. Like I know I've done it, but very few, maybe once or twice at the most. And I was like, I need to go in there and start looking. And then I was like, what if, when I came across the little Death Doula 7-day thing, I was like, what if I did that? I don't know if Death Doula came first, because I was like, they've got to be spreads in there. And then I checked, and there wasn't really much, especially at the beginning of the guidebook. I know there's like something going on at the end, and I thought I would do it, but I was like, I think it's just too much. It's like preparing for your death, and they were more so for like actual practical situations of death, or dealing with your own death. So that was in the more like later part of the book, where it's dealing with the big death. But in the beginning, it didn't really have much. It was like, pull a card a day type of thing. 1 card pull, 3 card spread, and then the 7-day spread. So I was like, let me do the 7-day spread. You've heard of that already. But yeah, I'm excited to try something like this with other decks. It just makes so much sense to me that this is the This is the deck that makes me think of all that because, we are processing a lot of death. Globalization has given us access to see things we've never seen before, and take part in addressing things in part of the world that we didn't have widespread access to the way we do now. There's upsides and downsides to where we are in time and history, but I think what I just want to say is I'm coming to a place of finding the clarity of what that work is for me in a purpose direction. As a person living in the world, that's clear to me what my purposes are in that sense, right? I guess from a political perspective. However, when it comes to like larger purpose and work as what I do, what drives me, also professionally, I'm beginning to understand the very sensitive, discreet, I don't know if discreet's the right word, it's the word I always use, nature of that it's something that is very much alive. It's very much, like I said, very sensitive and soft. And I think I often, because of, the programming, consider the softness of it incompatible with power, with it being powerful, with it being enough, with it being relevant, and also wading through the fatigue of what outside of me feels much more powerful and what inside of me feels much more powerful as far as programming. And so I've been doing some somatic healing around that, and I'm looking forward to stepping into those roles and projects and opportunities and spaces that push forward a revival of lost dreams, a revolution of dreaming as well. And this is not a definitive naming of it, of my work and anything, and what I mean by that, but it's a piece of it. And embracing the concept of dream revival as revolution feels good. I'm feeling the power be embraced and felt in all of those soft words, all of those words that have been programmed as superfluous is what I was going to say, but that's not the right word either. Belittled. Dreams are extremely powerful. The ones we have in our sleep, which by the way have been coming up, I've definitely been feeling the call to focus on them as they've become more memorable. They're more vivid. Things are happening, and I feel like my spirit team is saying, hey, pay attention, there's something here. And then in this process with the spaces that I've been in and the one that I'm carving here, bringing up this conversation around our purposes, which arise from our dreams being stolen. And this is one way to heal. This is one way to heal. It's a way I would like to help heal us. So I'm still working out the dream practice. I had a very specific dream practice, but it was a lot of work. So I tended to shy away from it because it was just a lot. And now I don't know how to simplify without feeling like I'm losing something, but then I also don't know how to integrate. So I'm working on that, and I'm sure I'll have some answers and pathways soon. But that's all I'm going to say. It's been a lot. I'm probably going to film an intro in a couple of days after this kind of sits, and I might watch through all the videos and film an intro from there. But this is the end, and I'm super grateful for you listening. I'm super grateful for this time and space that I've had for myself and with any soul who has been present to witness. So please let me know your thoughts, as I've asked a few times. If you have something to share, I'd love to hear it. Yeah, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.